Hey everybody, welcome to the Four and Fork YouTube channel. Today for Cabo Verde, we're gonna be making a dessert called donuts. So donuts are a donut that are covered with caramel chocolate glaze on top, and they are so good. So I'm gonna show you how to make them right now. We're gonna be making donuts, and then we're gonna head over to the stove and make the chocolate caramel glaze. All right, so the first step to making these donuts is to heat up 1 cup of whole milk and then add 1 teaspoon of sugar into the milk. And then I have a packet of active dry yeast that I'm gonna cut the top off of here and pour the yeast into this milk. You don't want your milk to be too hot or too cold. It should be a little tiny bit warmer than lukewarm so that it'll rise. And then we're gonna mix this in and leave the yeast to rise for about 10 minutes. The next thing we're gonna do is I have 4 cups of flour in here and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just gonna whisk that together in a small or medium bowl. And then in a large bowl, in front of me, I have 6 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm gonna use my whisk to whisk that up in here. And then I'm gonna add my dry ingredients to this. I decided to make this donut recipe because I was watching a YouTube channel called Surviving Ordinary Life with Liza and Justin. And Liza's from Cabo Verde, and this was one of the foods that she wanted to feed Justin to teach him about what the food is like in Cabo Verde. So she found these donuts that are called donuts, and she basically described them as the inside of the donut is just an ordinary donut, but it's a little bit more dense than what we normally eat here in America. But the signifying, identifying factor of the donut is the chocolate caramel glaze on top. My yeast has risen, so I'm gonna add that into our flour and mix it up with my spoon for as long as I can, and then I'm gonna transfer it to our countertop, and I'm gonna knead it with my hands for about 5 minutes until it becomes elastic. Then what I have is a large glass bowl that I'm gonna grease with some nonstick cooking spray. And then I'm gonna put this dough that I've kneaded for about 5 minutes into the glass bowl and let it rise for about 1 hour. After it rises for about an hour, then I'm gonna roll it out into 1/2 inch thick sheet of dough, and then I'm gonna use some cookie cutters to cut out donut shapes. And then I'm gonna leave it to rise for another 40 minutes, and then we are going to fry them. So to make this chocolate caramel glaze that goes on top of the donuts, first we're just gonna make a normal caramel, and then we're gonna add chocolate chips into it. I don't know why I just said caramel, because I think I always call it caramel. We're gonna make a normal caramel, and then we're gonna add chocolate chips to it. So I have 2 cups of sugar, 1/2 cup of water, and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just gonna mix these together with my spatula until it combines and all of the sugar melts. And then I'm gonna leave it over the heat for about 5 minutes until it turns completely clear and starts to bubble. Once your mixture turns clear like so, you're just gonna turn up your heat a little bit, and you're gonna keep mixing it for about 5 more minutes until it turns an amber color. So once your sugar turns an amber color, you're gonna take it off of the stove, and then you're gonna add in your cream and your butter. But be really, really careful when you do this, because it's gonna splash everywhere, and it's a little dangerous when you start to combine them. All right, so once your caramel is formed from adding your cream and your butter to your sugar mixture, we are gonna add in 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. So now this is the chocolate part of the chocolate caramel. And all of these chocolate chips are gonna melt in so nicely and make an delicious, delicious chocolate caramel glaze to put on our donuts. Now this last step is the best step, because we get to assemble it, and sometimes your hands get a little bit of chocolate, and then you get to taste it. So I have all of my donuts here, which I have fried. Just so you know, I like to coat my donuts once the donuts are cooled off, because you don't want the donuts to be hot, because then all the chocolate's gonna slide right off of it. So make sure that your donuts are cool, and then just dunk it there in your chocolate. Use a little fork to make sure that the chocolate gets coated all over the donut. Lift the donut out, let all the chocolate drip off of it. And then we'll lay it here on a drying rack. So I have donuts and I have donut holes in here, and both are delicious for eating this. And keep in mind, these will not be fluffy, really airy donuts. These are made intentionally to be dense donuts to mimic the way that Cabo Verdean donuts are for their donuts. All right, well, there you have it. We have just made our chocolate caramel glazed donuts from Cabo Verde. And now I get to try one. I also made donut holes, so I'm gonna try one of my little donut holes. It is so good. I love the caramel and the chocolate mixed together. A++, if I can say that about myself, but you guys should definitely make this recipe at home. Thanks for stopping by. If you want the full recipe, you can visit my blog at www.forandfork.com/chocolate glazed donuts. Thanks, and I will see you next time.